What's good, people? It's Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. You're checking out another beat showcase, and today I'm going to be showing you how I created an A Boogie with the Hoodie type beat. And he's got some really good tunes on his last album. I think he's a good artist. I still think there's room for progression, but he's got some good tunes. Um, Today it's kind of like a pop trap type beat. It's very radio friendly, very I'm I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for. It's very kind of like radio friendly. It's not aggressive trap, and it can be considered like pop trap if that's where I kind of going with this vibe. It's very commercial, this kind of sound, and I'll go through the common format. I'll just play a little bit of it, what it sounds like, and you can get an idea of what this whole song is like. Okay, I'll pause it there. You get the idea of it. It goes intro straight into the hook, and that's kind of a common thing for radio kind of pop tracks. Just hit them with the hook straight away, so you get, because you only have a little bit of time to kind of get the interest, pique the interest of the listener, and that's why some pop songs just lead straight into the hook, and that's what I did with this song. Instead of going intro verse or intro verse pre-chorus or intro pre-verse verse, I didn't do it that time because it's not really an album filler song. It's mainly a very commercial kind of pop trap sound. And we'll just take a listen to what the elements I used in this beat. You can see that it starts off with a piano and strings. We'll just take a listen to what sounds are used in that mix. 1 second now. And we'll just tighten everything up so you guys can see, because you guys will really want to see the MIDI, what sounds I use. Okay. Okay, it's a very simple, basic piano. I'm not going to go into too much detail for very basic stuff. Simple piano melody. Nice little bit of an EQ on there, cut at 50 Hertz. Little boost of 4 dB at 320 and 2K. And that's just to kind of let my piano peek through the mix. Like this time I actually have some compression on the piano, and not aggressive piano on the piano. It's only 1.5, but the threshold is pretty high. We'll take a listen to the compressor and what it does and what it doesn't do in a second. It's also got some strings in this piano. It's within Logic. It's preset within Logic, so it's grand piano and strings, and I'll mute both of them to see what they sound like as well. So the strings in the background just create a little bass layer for the piano, just to hide the emptiness in the piano. There's also rich reverb on this as well. Pretty basic, sounds very bland. And then again, I layered it with another piano and strings, and it's the same MIDI notes again, nothing too spectacular with the MIDI notes. We'll just listen to what that sounds like together. And you can see one's hard pan left and one is not hard pan, sorry, just plus 10 dB and minus 15 dB, just to kind of give them a little bit more dimension. And different EQs as well on them. This one has a little bit more at the 5K range, and it's a little bit scooped out of the mids. and basic melody. No need to go into too much detail there. Next up, what instrument we have is some choirs, just to kind of, they're acting like my pad sounds. You know from previous beats that I've showcased with you, I show you that I use pad sounds as like a drone, as just to fill the emptiness in a song without being too dramatic and taking up too much space in the mix, plus without taking the focal point of the artist in question. So this time I used choirs to do that work, or that job of a pad. And they're just basically following the chord progression of that whole song. So we'll just play that again. It's a massive synth, all souls, linear EQ, a little bit of cut at 100 hertz, and I didn't really do much after that. And then the next one is called photographic, sorry, my mistake, and it's boosted at a little 200 hertz. We'll just listen to them individually, see what they sound like. Sounds very Kid Cudi, this kind of sound. It's just a kind of synthesized choir, that's all. Okay, we get the idea of where I was going. We'll just put in the piano with them two sounds. Sounds very boring without it. Empty. I just filled the void now. Next, we have more strings, and this one plays a little bit different now. Okay, I won't play that second note now. So we have this string, piano and string sound coming in. Second now, we'll just play that one and so on. And this is kind of something that you would see in like horror movies and stuff like that. It's tension building. It's like where they play very piercing high notes on the strings or on the piano just when something dramatic is going to happen. That's what I was trying to do, build it. You know we're going into a hook. You know we're going into something like a chorus or something like that, because of the tension that I built in this section of the intro. And so it's just specific notes on the piano that I'm playing in and like a metronome kind of way as well. It's very rigid so far, but the looseness comes from the pad sounds rolling around in the background, plus there's analog lead that I'll show you in 2 seconds. So it sounds very rigid, yeah. There's a little bit of a string sound in the background as well of them. Okay, and we'll just listen to all them together, all those sounds together, just to see what they sound like. There's a reason why I accentuate the notes there as well, where I double them up on this way, because I want the very end of it to be very dramatic and we want it to really burst through the mix, whereas the other ones are just kind of lightly building the tension in the intro. Next we have the analog lead that comes in, and these all play the same riff. We'll just and we'll listen to each one of them individually. So the first one is called Digital Organ. It's in Alchemy Synth within Logic, and cut at around 400 hertz, boost at 2K of 2.5 dB. I love that sound. That's a very classic synthesizer sound. A little bit of spread on the mix as well, just to widen that synthesizer sound. Be careful with your spread, because it could really kill your mix as well. So sometimes it might be better to layer it and kind of play around with the pan. Sometimes if it works, it works. Do you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to break the rules. I break them all the time, and I break my own rules and my own standards that I set sometimes as well. Because a spread sound, we'll just listen to without the spread and without the EQ, without any effects on it. Okay, and we can hear the sound is a bit light. We'll just stick on our reverbs. Just got a little bit wider. It might sound a bit too loud there now. Maybe with my EQ, I've kind of peaked it through the mix a little bit. But when I hear it here, I want it to scream through the mix because these sounds really kind of dominate the mix. The piano kind of takes up a lot of the mid-range and the high end as well. So it's kind of hard to kind of get the synthesizer to float within the mix. That's why I've kind of doubled it up with these other sounds as well. So a digital analog lead, and that's a retro synth within Logic. And I think these sounds are just kind of acting as the base of that pad sound, or that lead sound. It's funny, sometimes when you create a layered sound, you kind of act, the more layers you put on, act as like a compressor, or act as a natural EQ in the mix, because they're coming into the same frequencies within the mix. They're kind of acting as their own compressors. So because I'm listening to this synth here, I'm like, oh god, that's kind of peaking just a little bit more than I like it actually sounding. This digital, it's kind of a bit nasty, but if I start layering my synths, see what they sound like now. I'm starting to get a little bit more of a tighter sound. Last one is a power lead. We'll just listen to that. It's playing the same notes again. And we're getting a pad, kind of floating pad there. And we'll just see what these sounds on their own. And we'll see what it sounds like all together. Sounds much better now. You can still feel everything floating in there. It doesn't have the quietness. If I took all these sounds out now without and just the piano, sounds very boring. You can see what I was trying to build there with all these sounds. There is some kind of transition effects in here. These are a bit generic, if I have to admit. I think there's this cool sound here. This is kind of like a shot sound that comes in here, and it just kind of sparks before the chorus. It kind of just, it's like sometimes it's like hitting a cymbal. It's kind of really pushing the energy into the intro. And if you see, there's a little bit of a delay on there as well. One second, we'll take a look at the delay. Ooh. We lost my... Ooh. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Lost me connection with me mouse. So where was I? So we have a little bit of delay on this section here, and we have no EQ on this. This is just lazy. This is my fault. There should be no anything below 100 hertz should be cut off. See if I've done it for that. I haven't done that either. I'm really losing my train of thought now. Second now. I'll bring up my EQ again. And we should really cut everything below that. I'd say I'd even go as far as and just widen that kind of a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Would even bring down the mids a little bit. I would scoop out a little bit of mids. That would sound better. And that's just something I should have done in the mix. Probably just didn't think it needed in the. Sometimes they don't need it because they're. Okay, so we've gone through the instrumentation of the song anyway, and we'll come back up to the drums now next. And I've used the kit that I've used the previous times, and that's from a beat that I made a while back called the Zone 6 kit. This is a good idea when you're creating beats, is to save your kits. So any beats that you create, save the kits that you use in them, and you can save all the presets that you've already done with it, so it'll be much quicker to create a beat as well at that time. That's a huge time saver, and it's you're already getting the idea as well. You can change the tempo on what sounds you're using, etc. But it's a good idea to keep the kits together. So I already have had a kick already here, not the same MIDI notes, just the kick and the drums. So we got a kick drum there. Take a look at EQ of the kick drum. Nice little boost there at 100 hertz. Sounds better there. And a little cut there. That's fine. Yeah, it was fine. And I cut a little bit at about 15k. Maybe we could even go a bit lower than that as well, up to 10k. Next, we can bring in my. Oh, we're skipping on from where I am. My snare sound. So far, pretty basic. Snare is simple again. Boost at 5k. Sounds a little bit better than the last one, doesn't it? Sounds better there, actually. See, you can figure out what's better in a mix when you've got fresher ears. Sometimes coming back 2 or 3 days later, you can. But then again, you could mix this 100 different ways. Sometimes you just have to say it's done. If someone like at your peer level advises you to change it, it's always a good idea to take their criticism, and if there's someone you trust, not trolls on YouTube. We have some hats. Nice hats coming in there. Nice busy hats. I really like those hats. They're really good. They kind of just really kind of give the life to the beat, actually. Aggressive EQ. Could boost that a little bit more. Sorry, I didn't show you that. Again. nice little bit of flavor in that. We have open hats come in here. Oh no, sorry, it's just a hat roll. Sorry, my mistake. They come in two strategic places at the end of those bars. And then we have some open hats. And they're kind of doubled up at the end. Nice little pocket there for the hats to fit into. And that's pretty much the crux of the beat. 1 second now, we'll just come back out and refresh everything to see if it plays all together. I won't play all of this because it's a long beat and you guys don't want to be listening to all that. You can see this is the verse here, it just plays on without the analog lead. That shot comes in there and kind of just adds a transition. I remove my hat sounds, some of my hat sounds. And then we have this kind of like pre-chorus. Then we have the outro of this hook as well. Now I completely forgot to show you the bass line. I got sidetracked there a minute ago when my batteries failed on me. Look at the 808. And the 808 is just playing like a standard chord progression and it's following the kick drum. We'll just take a look at the EQ on the 808. A little cut at that where I had my kick drum hitting and cut anything below 2K. It doesn't need it. And we have a little bit of overdrive. Take off the overdrive and let's see what that sounds like. The overdrive is just a little bit of noise in the mix. It's just giving it a little bit of distortion on the mix, really. You can see there's an 808 and up and down. I usually pitch bend the 808. I usually change it from here. I usually change it to a different section on to bring up like my pitch on this section. But this time I kind of created 3 different ESX synthesizers, put my 808 in, and just move the pitch up and down. So that should be up and that should be down. And I push the glide up as well so I can play around with the pitch in the beat. So you might hear it here. Strategic notes play different ones. That's playing an up note. 1 second. just hear what they sound like. And you get the idea of it. We'll just play it all together now. And that's pretty much it. There's not really else to it after that. You can hear it on this section after the chorus. I just play the 808 on top. That's really it for the beat. There's not much else to it. Very radio friendly beat, nice little sounds in there, nice little energetic beat, and could be a nice radio song for an artist similar to like Kid Cudi or A Boogie with the Hoodie. That kind of piano, kind of constant piano sound with the kind of trap drums in the background, busy hi-hats, and a little bit of an 808 there in the underline of it. That's all for today. Don't forget to check out the next video that's coming up soon. Plus, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a comment, share, and subscribe. If you like this beat, it's available at thecorporatethiefbeats.com, and there's always a corresponding blog post with every beat making showcase. This is Dan from The Corporate Thief Beats. I'll check you out in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.